So another staple in your kitchen as a home cook is pasta. Pasta is really easy to make. There's just a few things you gotta think of and few processes to remember. But cooking pasta the correct way will, make your spaghetti or your lasagna or any dish that has it just that much better. Our goal is to cook it not to the point that it's sticky, right? Then we went too far. And we also don't want it to be too hard where it's like crunchy. So we're looking for that middle, and I think they call that al dente. So that's the goal here. Really simple. I'm going to show you how to do this. So grab yourself a 4-quart saucepan. This is just about the right size for a whole package of pasta, like if you're doing spaghetti. And what I like to do is fill this up about halfway on 4 quarts. And use yourself cold water. Cold water actually boils quicker than hot water. I forget the reason for that, but it does. If you don't have a 4-quart saucepan, you got something bigger, then go ahead. The goal is you just got to keep that pasta covered with water, and it's going to absorb some of that water too, so that's something else you have to consider. Now the goal is to bring this up to a boil. Unlike rice, we want this to be boiling before we put the pasta in it. If it's not, then you're going to put the pasta in there and it's just going to all stick together and clump up. And one way to speed up that boiling process is go ahead and cover it with a lid. All right, so here's the boil. As you can see, we got a nice rolling boil. Now, it's important with pasta is you want to salt the water. I don't do it when it's just starting to boil because that salt can go to the bottom of the pan and just sits there. And I don't want to etch the pan or wreck my pan, right? So I wait for it to get to a boil and then I salt. Like, you got quite a considerable amount of water here. So I want to bring up the salinity in that water. And it'll help translate to my pasta. So I'm going to use quite a bit of salt. So I'm going to use, probably 3-4 good pinches here. It will boil up a little heavier. And I give it a stir. That way the salt is not just sitting on the bottom. My utensil of choice when doing pasta is tongs like this. All metal. Just give it a stir so it'll bring up the salinity in the water. Now we're simply just going to add the pasta. Now, you can put it in the whole form like this and then kind of work its way down. But personally, I like to just break it in half. It makes it manageable, more manageable to eat, and I just find it easier in the pan. But you could do both. So if you got to break it, I just grab both by half and I break it towards the water. And then I drop it in. Now you're simply just going to make sure you get all the pasta under the water. Now that we added all that, it's going to take a minute for it to get back to a boil. And I like to do this without a lid so I can see what's going on. If you put a lid on it, you have to be really careful that it doesn't boil over. So what I'm trying to do is get the water back to a simmer between a rolling boil and a simmer. You want some bubbles popping through the top, but you don't want it over going. That's it. Now the idea is just let that pasta cook. Check it every once in a while and make sure that the pieces are not sticking together. So you just want to make sure that they're all loose in there. That's why I like these tongs the best, because it separates them if they're starting to stick. So there's only 2 ways to know when it's done: by tasting it. Is it not crunchy? Is it not too sticky? Right in the middle, right? The other way is throwing it at your refrigerator. If it sticks, you are good to go. All right, guys, so after you strained off the water, this pasta can get sticky, okay, in that pan. So it's important to not get it all clumpy. One trick for that is just add yourself some olive oil. I think it really enhances the flavor of the pasta, and it's gonna prevent it from sticking when it's in here. Like if you're gonna use it right away, you don't need to do this part. Just go ahead, use it in your dish. But if it's gonna be sitting on the stovetop while you're finishing your other food or whatever you're doing, then this is a great way to keep that spaghetti from sticking to one another. You could also, after it's fully cooked, if you're in the process of making something and it's going to take some time, you could actually just cool it. You could cool it in cold water and stop the cooking process. Add a little oil, and then your pasta won't be sticking to itself. So guys, that's the simple way to make pasta. This goes for all the pastas. We want to consider taste, right? Tasting our food. It's not about the time in recipes. You got to taste the pasta. If it's crunchy, it's not enough. If it's getting too mushy, you've probably gone too far. Get it off the heat. Get it out of the pan if you had to. Strain off all the liquid. You can add olive oil to help the pasta from sticking to itself. And that's a simple process depending on elbows or lasagna. All the pastas are the same.